guys, I'm Mermaid Amora, here to talk to you about mermaid things. Today I'm going to be taking you backstage for an underwater photo shoot with Mermaid Sharina and myself, shot by Holly Mclean. Let's dive into it. First up, we have to make sure we have all of our gear. So packing that into different bags and putting that in the car. Leaving our makeup products in the back seat so we can do our makeup in the car. Here is the before and here is the after. We like to try and match our eyeshadow to the tails we're wearing on the day, just for a little bit more realism, and we love the artistic process. Once we arrive, we scope out the pool that we'll be working in. We talk to Holly about where we'll be shooting and what her vision for the shoot is. And very brave Sharina decides to hop in first. This was actually the last swim of our summer.
I'm really cold.
Once she warms up a little bit, she dives straight under and they get straight into shooting. This was a really beautiful pool as it had a white backdrop and a beautiful rock section. There are actually no tiles below where you see, so it makes it a perfect photo shoot pool. It's really important to dive from different angles and do different things when under the water, just so you have variation within your shots. I was doing a little bit of behind the scenes, and Holly also had a little GoPro set up for more behind the scenes footage. This is what she looks like from above, and this is what she looks like from below. She can do some really beautiful poses. Once Sharina's decided she's had enough for now, I start to get my tail on. The first foot is always going to be the easiest. The second foot is always harder because there is less space to get my foot in there.
One foot's in. That's good.
That's very quick.
This is the hard foot. Here we go, guys.
Once I've got my first foot in and I'm trying to get my second foot in the second foot pocket, it is a lot more difficult because there's less space. Here I'm trying to pull up the wrinkles from the base of the tail and pull it up more towards my waist. This is to make space for my legs to move further down and so that I can put my foot in the extra foot pocket that's free. Here you can see me pulling up my tail using diving gloves. This is so that my nails do not pierce the silicone in my tail.
She's almost there already. It's a painful process, but she's getting there. She's doing well.
I haven't got my other foot in yet.
Oh.
The second foot is the hardest part for me.
It is a little bit of a process, and it is a lot easier to have somebody there with you. As you can see, Sharina is still in her tail, but that's okay, she's helping film some BTS content for you guys.
See how it's all crinkled? That's the hardest bit for me.
Yeah, right.
What if I can?
After getting into my tail a few times, I've gotten much quicker at getting into it. This video was just under 7 minutes long. Pulling out more crinkles. Trust me, pulling them up looks a lot easier than it actually is. Make sure that your nails are clipped or you wear diving gloves when putting on a silicone tail, just to make sure you don't pierce it.
Just be careful of your fingernails. Okay, good.
Here, Holly came over to help me and discovered how hard silicone really was to pull up.
I just need this one.
Slowly, I am making more progress, trying to wriggle my feet into the bottom and pull up those wrinkles to make more space. Obviously, for a photo shoot, we want a great look, so we don't want any wrinkles. So I'm just trying to get all of those last wrinkles out to make a smooth tail.
Good. I think.
Oh, good.
I've just got to fix some rolls.
Once it looks smooth to me on the front, I want to check the back. Obviously, I can't see the back too well, so I'm asking for a second and third pair of eyes. My dorsal fin is beautiful, but sometimes it can be sneaky and hide some crinkles, so we got to check that too.
I don't see anything from here. Like crinkles. Can you just flip the dorsal? Make sure it's as one.
I don't know what to grab.
Just grab it.
You pull
And
it up slowly.
yeah.
And we slowly pull that up to make the tail crinkleless. As you know, I just put my feet in my tail, and even though I'm not by the steps, I think it's a lot easier to just roll into the pool at this point than get somebody to carry me. So here we go.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. And yes, the water was super cold. Once I got used to the water, I started swimming around the pool to get a feel for it. doing some different things to experiment while Holly was taking pictures. Even though the pool is quite small, it still allows for us to move around quite a lot. I love being able to see above water and below water shots, so here are a few of those. This is what the same pose looks like above water and the same pose looks like underwater. It's quite a difference, especially if you're at a mermaid show. Here's another cool behind the scenes of me diving down into the pool, swimming really slowly so that Holly gets ample opportunity to take photos of me while I go along, and I do a little bit of a spin at the end as well. Here are a couple of different things I did during my photo shoot. I really wanted to get different angles as well, and I was trying to also go for a reflection photo on the top of the surface. This was a fun little scene to play around with. Here I am relaxing in my mermaid cove by the rocks while Holly experiments with different angles. Even though silicone tails are a lot more realistic than fabric tails, they do have some downsides. My fluke is super heavy, and here I am trying to lift my fluke up from the water so that it can lay more flat with the surface. This is something I noticed quite a lot when trying to get my reflection photos, how quickly my fluke would sink and how many times I would need to lift it back up or dive again. Also just wanted to add these little fail behind the scenes so you guys can see that not every dive is going to be perfect. After a few dives by myself, Mermaid Sharina came to join me so we could get some things together. I love swimming with her and getting content with her. Because it's a tight space, we tried to stay close together and swim very slowly to give Holly ample opportunity to capture as many photos as she can. Here Sharina and I are discussing what we're going to do on our way back swimming to Holly when you can see our faces, and we decide to part ways either side of her. After that, I take some downtime on the step while Sharina jumps in for a couple more photos and I capture that behind the scenes. She does some incredible poses, guys. When you're doing underwater photo shoots, it's kind of tough because you don't want to wear a weight belt, but you also need to make sure that you're not too floaty. Holly had a great idea of making lots of bubbles on the surface that would hopefully carry into the photo underneath the water. Sharina gave it a try, and here I am creating a lot of bubbles to see if they would carry into the photographs. I don't think it made that many bubbles though, no matter how hard I hit the water. Again, trying different poses to make sure that there are variations with the photographs. And one last attempt for me at my reflection photo. Keep an eye on how my fluke sinks to the bottom of the pool. After we're done and kick our tails off, it's time to drain the tails, pack up and go home. Here I'm trying to empty all the water out of my tail so that it's less heavy and doesn't make a mess in the car. It does look a little bit funny, but my tail weighs roughly 20 kilos and Sharina's weighs roughly 15, so they aren't light. Coming out.
Yeah.
Is that it? Okay. Now, I need the front of it. Okay, so if you can put the top of the tail in the bag. No. Here I am being super fussy while a mertender is trying to help me put my tail back in my bag. I always try and make sure I put my tail with the dorsal sitting upwards. That way there's just less pressure on it and less chance of it breaking. Sometimes after the cold water, it's a little bit tricky for me to remember how to maneuver this tail into that spot, but I always get there in the end.
The dorsal fin has to be on the back. Okay, we swap spots. And then you fold it on top.
Once the tail's in the bag, although it does not fit completely, I make sure that the dorsal fin is facing upwards, and after this I also stuff a towel or a yoga mat in between that bend so that the silicone is not folding on itself. And my tail graciously gets carried away from me and magically appears in the boot of the car. Here we are after the photo shoot, on our way home to a warm shower, washing our hair, taking our makeup off, and getting everything else clean that we used during the day. We are super excited to see how the photos turned out, and don't have to wait too long to see the results. Here's a gorgeous shot of Mermaid Sharina, and a portrait shot of myself and Sharina side by side, focusing on our tails. Here's a photo of me just swimming. Looks very natural, mermaid-esque, and I love my dorsal fin. This is one of my favourite photos of Sharina. I love the way that she's posing and looking up. I also love that tiny little bubble that she's blown out of her mouth. I think everything about this photo is perfect. And here was one of my favourite photos. As you can see, my fluke did sink to the bottom still, but I did get a little bit of reflection on the top of the water. And here's one of my favourite photos of Sharina and I, a really classic shot where you swim from different ends of the pool over and under each other. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure you subscribe and I'll see you next time. Bye.